Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. Today, we're talking about comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, March 23rd. We have our wonderful co-host with us. We have an incredible guest and a lot of amazing books to talk about, from absolutely amazing DC titles to things that are at the end of the alphabet over at Marvel, and all the great indie books in between. This is going to be a big, fun week, so you're not going to want to miss out after this opener. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and this Monday we are talking about today we're talking about this Monday's FOC for March 23rd, 2026. A lot of great books, and to help me talk about them, not only do I have our wonderful producer Kyle, but I have the amazing director of sales and purchasing at Coliseum of Comics, Billy Flake.
I'm back again for a second week. What happened?
Well, I mean, I think we're gonna lock that chain up there. You're stuck here with us now.
That's okay. I'm enjoying myself so far, so this is good.
I mean, you had to go and call me out right before we opened this, though, with, I'm like, oh, man, what's a good Z comic? It's been ages. And you're like, Zootopia? Like,
Kyle actually called that one out, but I was actually Googling it as we went live. Like, what are some good Z titled comics? Because there can't be a lot. Zorro, we've had Zorro recently.
You're right. Absolutely.
Shout out to Judy Hopps from Zootopia. Like, the Dynamite Zootopia books have been super fun, especially because I can read them with my 5-year-old nephew, and like, they don't suck.
I am Zootopia out at this point. It is my 2-year-old. We call it Bunny. It's the Bunny movie in my house. It's what my 2-year-old. He either says he wants to watch Bunny or Bunny 2, which is Zootopia or Zootopia 2, and we watch them over and over and over and over and over.
You know what's really sad? I got to see Zootopia for the first time earlier this week, and I just watched Zootopia 2 last night. So just so I can sit down and read the comics, hopefully later today or this weekend.
No, Bunny's a big deal in our house. Judy Hopps is a big deal in our house. So Zootopia, shout out Zootopia for sure.
All right. Well, it's fun. We actually have some things that are Zootopia-esque and not for kids that we'll be talking about on FOC today. So, shall we dive into it? Because there's a lot to talk about this week. Let's start off with the key websites, the major places you're going to want to go so you can find all the comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday. And if you're a fan of Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, Kodansha, Square Enix, Boom, Ignition, Distillery, and more. Look, it's one of the biggest distributors in the world. So, of course, Penguin Random House has it all, and you will find it all at prhcomics.com. As you can see, they make it front and center. They know the most important thing to you all. FOC is the first thing you can click on their website. Clicking it will bring you over to this delightful version of the site with all of those titles on FOC. We recommend sorting them by A to Z or absolute to Zootopia, as we can in this. And then you can view it all. But I'm sure many of you are asking, where would I find the other wonderful publishers like DC Image, Oni Press, Dynamite, and more? The real absolute to Zootopia in that scenario. Well, they are handled by a number of great distributors like Lunar Distribution. And Lunar Distribution, in my opinion, has the best website for FOC of those publishers. So go to lunardistribution.com. Scroll on down to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're clicked on the right date there, which is March 23rd. And you can see everything that Lunar has to offer, giving you a full range of amazing comics now available at your local comic shop. So we have a little bit of time before our guest drops in. Shall we pop on over to Penguin Random House and get started, Billy?
Yeah, let's see what they got this week.
All right. So let me see if I can get this. First off, as you pointed out, it's always good to get a little ahead, as Penguin Random House does. Penguin Random House does offer DC collected editions, not single issues, but trade paperbacks and hardcovers. And for you Absolute fans, Absolute Flash is on FOC at PRH this week. It will be on FOC next week on Lunar.
Yeah, it seems like they're changing it up, though. Typically, they front load all of the DC collected editions on the first FOC of the month. And this month, they've kind of split it up. And I'm not sure why that process has changed, but it still is a little bit of an advance of the Lunar FOC. So it does give your retailer 2 shots at it. So if you miss it this week, you forget to ask, you always have the opportunity to ask your retailer for it next week as well.
And as always, it never hurts to get that information to your retailer early. The sooner that they have it, the easier it is to guarantee that you'll get it. Now, an interesting one I think worth getting, and I realize that the cover I'm about to bring up is the incentive variant. So please don't guarantee the belief that your local comic shop is going to get this specific cover. I just screwed up. But if you like it, reach out to your local comic shop, see if they will get it, and see how much it's going to cost. But we're going to talk about Amazing Spider-Man 27, which is the big conclusion to Death Spiral from Joe Kelly. And here there's a lot of amazing covers that I'm certain your store is going to get. But this one's definitely, this has been an exciting event, crossing over Venom, Carnage, and Spider-Man, even though we don't currently have a Carnage ongoing. Have you had the chance to catch up at all on Joe Kelly's interesting new tale?
I love Joe Kelly. Yeah. So when he came on board with the ASM, I was immediately sold. I've been going on the Death Spiral with everybody else. Obviously we see Spider Carnage there on that cover. That alone is that would have sold me to read it. And so yeah, I've been kind of sticking with it. I'm very excited to see where we end up at the end of this. Obviously where it ties into Venom and what have you. It's been a fun ride.
I've been really enjoying it too, but my concern is that I'm gonna really enjoy it, and then they're gonna like Red Goblin it or Gold Goblin it, where it's like this really great, fun villain that is sort of a spin-off or variation on a villain we all already like anyway, is going to get us all excited, and then it's going to go away forever because God forbid we do something new.
There it is. I mean, I will say that I love Joe Kelly's writing. There's never been a bad Joe Kelly story for me. Like, the worst Joe Kelly story is still a good story.
Yeah,
so his return to Spider-Man has had me excited, and I'm curious because I know that retailers have been given a lot of hints from folks at Marvel, and some have even been outright told there's going to be some death in this. And I'm curious how it's going to land, but this isn't to be skipped, I feel.
No, I mean,
thinks about the slides he had to delete from the Marvel presentation at Comics Pro.
Ooh. That's some insider baseball right there. I think they're going to stick the landing. If you're an Amazing Spider-Man fan, you're an Amazing Spider-Man fan, and this is going to be a seminal issue. You're going to have to add it to your collection for sure.
Yeah. Speaking about adding things to your collection, you can get the poster right there to get you a connecting set of all of the 9 covers that Iban Coelho did and will likely be the trade paperback. But while we're talking trade paperbacks, if you've missed out on American Caper, you are missing out on a really crazy comic that Dark Horse has brought to offer. Written by Dan Houser, who is one of the co-creators and founders of Rockstar Games, meaning he's the guy who brought you Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. He's teamed up with Laszlo and David Lapham to tell a really crazy HBO-esque tale of American life in the most untraditional and twisted way possible.
I'm really excited about this book. This kind of transition for comics to almost do like prestige television in trade form. Well, I mean, this is periodicals before, but it is a trade now. I think it's a lot of fun. And if you've played GTA, if you're a fan of those games, you'll know Laszlo from the radio. He's a radio DJ and like the all the games up to the most recent one. I'm not sure if he's going to be in 6 or not, but he was also a huge part of Rockstar for a very long time. So those guys are lunatics, and I'm here for anything they're going to write because it's just going to be a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I love that they really have supported their love of comics with a fair amount of money in the press of this too. They've provided comic shops with so much material. They've been doing such a great job marketing, and it's a good book. That often doesn't go hand in hand.
Right.
So
you get good marketing or mediocre comic or mediocre marketing and a great comic. So it's really, I agree. It's really great when you get both.
Yeah. All right. Another big one. When we talk about kids' cartoons like Zootopia, there are a group of them that I love. The chain of Gravity Falls, Amphibia, Owl House, Over the Garden Wall, some of the best animation that hits just as well for kids as it does for adults have been coming out of Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Disney. And one of these that me and my son equally love was the Amphibia series. Now, the really great thing, just like Owl House, is we're going to see a continuation in comic form now. Amphibia's Strange Voyage has Matt Braley, who actually worked on Amphibia, continuing the story several years after the cartoon ended. Now, it's a bummer Top Cow doesn't have a cover for it, but this is still all that I need. This takes place several years after the Amphibia cartoon ended and continues the tale in that world with our beloved family of frogs.
Wait, so I'm not familiar with, I knew every other title. I've watched every other title you mentioned with my kids, but I'm not familiar with Amphibia. So like, what's the setup for that show? And then obviously the book.
Yeah. So Amphibia is done by, it actually kind of exists in that crossover universe. You'll see crossovers with Gravity Falls and Owl House and other things, but it is the story of a young girl who wakes up in an alien world that is inhabited by anthropomorphic animals, mainly frogs and other amphibious creatures, large insects, and she has to find her way home. But as she is trying to find a way home, she discovers how this world works, falls in love, and realizes the people who are ruling this are not good people. It is very much your Lord of the Rings, like you have to fight back the evil that is coming to take over all of the peace of the several kingdoms and small villages that Middle Earth in this metaphor, has. And the craziest part is when she finds a way home, she brings the evil chasing after her into our world. So it really is a cool fish out of water children's fantasy. But the part that blows my mind, without giving away spoilers, I was watching this with my kid. We get to the end of season 1. And the very final episode of season 1, all of a sudden has this big warning on it, like, mature, scene, all this. And I'm like, I was just watching this out of the corner of my eye for an entire season of like 20 plus episodes. This has not been mature. And that episode sucked me in like nobody's business with so many twists, so much insanity that my son and I were glued to the TV for the remaining 2 seasons of this show. It is like nothing you can imagine. I mean, I guess you get that comparative with Owl House. You get that comparative with Over the Garden Wall and a number of those. but this one brought it to a whole other level. And I cannot wait to see what could possibly happen after the epic conclusion of the Amphibia TV series. Because much like those others, you hit a very solid and brilliant ending in the TV series. If you haven't gotten the chance, you can stream it on Disney Plus or Hulu. But I'm excited for this comic. This is going to be a great one. And the fan base, much like those other cartoons, is a rabid fan base of wide age range and diverse followers. So everyone loved that cartoon that has had the opportunity to watch it. If you haven't, I can almost guarantee you will join that fan base in love, and you will want this comic.
I'm definitely going to give it a shot now.
What was that?
I didn't watch this one either, but it sent me down the rabbit hole on whatever happened to We Bare Bears. Turns out that was canceled in 2016, and now I feel real old.
Oh, wow. First of all, that was a great show. They had Jason David Frank of Power Rangers fame on there multiple times. That was I think that kind of goes hand in hand with that newer animation that you were mentioning. The story probably wasn't as deep as something like this, or like a Steven Universe or Gravity Falls, but We Bare Bears was a lot of fun. Everything's fun today with me. I don't know why. Everything's fun.
I like that. We need a fun day.
I'm here for it.
It's good that Billy's fun because I'm Mr. Everything is Awful today.
No, we've got tons of good stuff on this FOC. Stuff I'm excited about. We're gonna get to one that I'm excited about, I think, and I actually have a very similar origin story with this book as you do with Amphibia.
Ooh. All right. Well, before we get to where I think we're going on this, we got to talk about another amazing cartoon with a rabid fan base that everyone loves, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is that where you were going?
Oh, no, I'm not. But I want to talk about this book so bad. I forgot it was on this FOC. Listen, if you're an Avatar fan, this is a must-have. Like, you've got to get this book. I'm a huge Avatar fan. I've been watching it since, it premiered, 1,000 years ago. I realized I was in college when Avatar first premiered, and my girlfriend at the time, her little brother was like, I think he was 5 or 6, and he's a grown-up now. And Avatar now my kids are, they're 10 and 7, and they're watching Avatar, and it's like 20 something years later, right? Or I don't know exactly how long, but it's been forever. So I love Avatar. This is awesome because if you're an Avatar fan, you're a Legend of Korra fan, you've got that middle area where it's like, okay, what happened between Aang and Kara? This fills that void. This is actually what that book is.
It goes even before that. This actually fills the gap between the first and second appearance of Suki and the Kyoshi Warriors in season 1 of Avatar.
Oh,
gentlemen, hold on to your gray hairs. Avatar: The Last Airbender is old enough to drink this year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. Oh.
But yeah, so this one will take place, in the early part of the Fire Nation. Well, I guess I should say the early part of the Fire Nation war, because that would be 100 years prior to the actual events of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
But this is supposed to bridge the gap between the first 2 animated show appearances of Suki and the Kyoshi Warriors.
Well, okay, so I don't want to spoil it too badly. I think I may have accidentally given away the spoiler because I actually had a little bit of insider information on this book.
Oh, you're talking about the miniseries as a whole, not issue 1.
Yes.
Okay, you're all right in that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But so we both get to be right on this. I like this. No, I mean, I love Avatar. I definitely made a mistake because I was going to wear my my Toph shirt today, and then I all of a sudden, said last minute, no, Mark Waid is still evil. But
what did Mark Waid ever do to you? What did Mark Waid do to anybody?
I can give you so many stories on that, but particularly, he brought us something irredeemable.
Okay. He didn't make that shirt in fat guy sizes.
But really quickly to wrap up Avatar, it's Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're all awaiting the new animated series or film. I've yet to figure that out. That bridges the gap and gives us older Aang, Toph, Suki, and the rest of the wonderful Avatar crew. But this is going to be a great way to get it. This is the first time in a non-free comic book day form that we're getting these Avatar continuations in traditional floppy comics as opposed to graphic novels. And the part that has me beyond excited, we're getting our first Avatar: The Last Airbender blank.
Ooh.
I am going to buy so many of these. I'm just every Avatar character, every comic creator I can, draw me one of your favorite Avatar characters.
That'd be awesome. That's a
I'm
great
gonna buy
idea.
like 50 blanks. I'll be like Kyle.
Listen,
Kyle, you're a big blank guy.
I am, but what's the word I'm looking for? Why is my phone ringing? Why am I calling Danny from Ghost Machine right now? I don't know what's happening.
Hi, Danny.
I got excited about an Avatar blank so much that my phone freaked out on me. No, I love blanks, but I love blanks for series like this because you can hand them to cartoonists, you can hand them to people who have been influenced by this series, and just let them have fun. You know, it isn't like you're handing. We're going to have Matt Hawkins on in a little bit. It's not like you're handing them a Witchblade blank and you're like, do your best, Michael Turner, right? Which is kind of what's expected when you do that. This is draw something that is from your inspiration of this. It's a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more fun. So having a blank on an animated series, I think, is just a great opportunity for people to discover original art in a different way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, fully excited about this. All right. I think that this is what we're going to be talking about, though, with Billy, because this is a crazy one that we're getting this combo. Blue Lock 29 and 30. I am quite the Blue Lock fan, and I am now excited beyond belief to learn that Billy is with me on this because
I wasn't, but it was my kids. They got me like your son got you with Amphibia. They had been watching this soccer anime, and I think they were like 6 episodes in, and they're like, Dad, you got to watch a soccer anime. You got to watch a soccer anime. And I was like, listen, I'm not a sports anime guy. I'm not a soccer guy. I don't think this is going to do it for me. And then it was like, we leave for school around 7 a.m. So it's like 6:30 in the morning. And my oldest son is like, Dad, just watch one episode with us. And I'm like, all right, we could do one. We watched the first episode. They left on the bus, and I think I binged like half the first season before they were even home from school. Even cooler is last year I moderate panels at cons sometimes, and I got to do a panel with Nagi. What's his name? Izagi, the main character, right?
he's Nagi.
Yeah, and then Ego. All 3 of them were on the panel. And I was able to get my volume of Blue Lock Volume 1 signed by those guys. It was really cool. So the English voice actors. I never thought there'd be a world where I was super, super stoked about a soccer manga, but that is apparently the timeline we live in.
So I'm glad to hear this. I have never watched the anime for Blue Lock. I love the manga because the mangaka is one of my favorites. Muneyuki Kaneshiro is one of the best mangaka ever. He does an amazing series that I have been trying so hard to get Kodansha to publish in English. I have been yelling at Ben Applegate for, I want to say, 5 years to get him to bring Kami-sama no Iutori over, or As the God Wills, which is Kaneshiro's original big manga, a crazy death game that predates Blue Lock. And if you love Blue Lock, you'll love this.
Okay.
As the God Commands, they have a great film by Takashi Miike, the horror director in Japan, based on it. I don't know why this manga, which Kodansha owns, isn't translated to English. But Blue Lock is phenomenal. You want to give the quick pitch of Blue Lock if anybody, for some reason, hasn't grabbed the first 28 volumes that are currently on stands?
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea of it is that it's the Japanese national team. They're looking for their new striker, which is a position in soccer. I did not know that until I actually started interacting with Blue Lock. And the way they do it is they bring together the quote unquote best strikers in Japan, and they're going to find the number one of them. And you follow the internal monologue of one main character through the main series. But then there's the spinoff episode Nagi, where you get to see it from Nagi's perspective, which is really cool. They even did a film which kind of retells the story from his perspective, which is really great. But this is all being run by a sadist named Ego, who is sort of torturing these guys to kind of pull out the fighting spirit in all of them. It's a lot of Oh, what's that genre of manga where they just like power up? Like
Shonen.
Naruto. Yeah, it's like a show. There you go. It's got a lot of shonen trappings to it, even though it is a soccer manga, or football manga. It's a very, it's very shonen inspired, but at the end of the day, it is it's still a soccer manga, and I'm still super into it. I never, like, this is just a weird conversation to even have, because I would never, 5 years ago, if you were like, hey Billy, you're gonna love a soccer manga, I'd be like, that's silly. That's a silly thing to say.
I know. I mean, I absolutely adore it. Go ahead.
When this first hit in my shop, the way we sold it was, it's Assassination Classroom, but instead of killing people, it's soccer.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good one. I go Battle Royale soccer.
Yeah, Battle Royale soccer is good too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the thing I will add to the pitch that I love about it is the idea is it is the top football player, soccer. I'm going to use my American terminology here. It is the top soccer players in Japan from high school to college age, all competing for the only spot that will exist on the national team as a striker for the upcoming World Cup, which is great because we're coming up for World Cup 2026 this year. But the rule is only one of these students will actually make it onto the team. And if you are not one of those students, if you fail, you are not allowed to play soccer in Japan ever again.
I forgot, again, ego is a sadist. I forgot that was part of the deal.
Yeah.
And then these guys are all hyper competitive, and yeah, so it's a great read, and it's a great anime, so it's great. It's an incredible manga about soccer.
Yeah, I mean, and the fun thing is, as Billy can tell you, if you knew nothing about soccer going in,
oh yeah, no, it's a gateway drug for sure. Because now, I mean, we have a major league soccer team here in where I live in Florida, and the boys are talking about going to soccer games now, and they want to start playing soccer, and it all starts with Blue Lock, and it's just like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, and I love it as a fan who's been watching World Cups and soccer games for decades now. Like, they reference real world footballers. They talk about key moves and maneuvers, that will actually use the proper terminology. They talk about iconic moments from various cup games throughout history. Like this, whether you know nothing about soccer or a hardcore fan, this will make you an expert on soccer by its end. And on top of that, it is one of the greatest comics coming out of Japan. So expect it to be found at your store too.
I do want to say this too. Like, if you're not a sports baller, manga is usually a great way to find your way into sports ball. Like, you have Prince of Tennis, you have Blue Lock, you have so many of these other very niche manga that specify that are slice of life sports stories that, because they're manga, they take an aspect of reality and turn it up to 35 instead of just turning it up to 11. So they're usually a great way to kind of, oh, well, I have a friend who's into tennis. I don't really care about tennis. Let me read Prince of Tennis. I'm not into figure skating, but here's this figure skating manga. Let me read that, and I'll get enough of knowledge to be able to talk to my pal about their thing. But also, like, I don't have to take it super seriously.
Yeah. And then if you are just discovering Blue Lock because you're hearing us rant about how amazing it is and you want to join in, well, there are currently volume 29 and 30. It's really weird, both on FOC this Monday, and 33 solicited currently. Here are the great entry points to get it and catch up quick. They have wonderful omnibuy that will get you through it quicker. They have box sets that will help you get everything at once. There's even coloring books, and later this year, we're going to get a full color version of volume 1, which is not a traditional thing you find in the traditional black and white of manga, Tankobon. So, absolutely awesome. I'm glad that we took a moment to talk about this.
Me too. I saw they were both on FOC this week, and I was like, yeah, that's that. We got to talk about that.
Yeah. All right. Oddly enough, is our guest here? It looks like it is. So I would like to take a moment to introduce somebody. He has been the president and chief officer of operations at Top Cow since 1998. He has a career in comics almost as long as Image itself has been around and very closely tied to it. He's the author of many titles from Lady Pendragon to Think Tank, the Aphrodite series, Swing. He is the absolutely talented and beloved Matt Hawkins.
Wow, I don't know if I can. That's a great intro. Thanks, Mathias. I appreciate that, man.
How are you doing,
y'all?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, you know. Did the proverbial took the cats to the vet, which has put me in a foul mood. But you know that you got to do that. Taking those cats in a crate and dragging them to the veterinarian for their shots or whatever it is always it's a traumatic thing. So any cat owners out there, I've had an interesting morning.
I thought that was a metaphor at first, and I was like, what is the metaphor for taking the cats to the vet? Like, did he do something difficult? Like, what happened there? But now I realize you actually took the cats to the vet.
Literally took the cats to the vet, had a couple shots. They needed to have their cats or their claws or their nails trimmed, and they just moan and complain. And one of them hisses at me. You know, you love these little guys, but wow, they can get mean and sad, and they do not like being put in a crate and thrown in the car. And now they're avoiding me, so it's all good.
All right. Well, that's going to be the bummer. Like, that's the greatest part of every interview is the pets that sneak on camera midway through.
Oh, right. Yeah. I shut the door this time, so they won't be sliding in here. But I do have cat beds, and there's a cat tree right there that is covered with comics at the moment. But that's normally where they hang out with me.
That is the sign of a true comic, fan, collector, writer, is that even the cats have to deal with the comic collection. Yeah, my one cat is a little chonk. He's put on so much weight he can't jump past the second level, so I don't feel bad about it anymore. So the third and fourth, fifth they'll have they have comics on it. But I'm starting to play with them a little more and get him. Since COVID and I've been working at home, the cats just don't. I haven't been giving them much exercise, and that's on me. So I've been trying to get them a little. Putting a cat on a diet is also a very traumatic thing. It's been a lovely week with the cats. Oh, there you go. Well, let's talk about something a little different for cats for a moment. You have an amazing book on FOC. Recently, Top Cow has been doing a brilliant job in reviving some of their most legendary creations, from Witchblade to The Darkness. Mark Silvestri has been absolutely kicking butt with something that I didn't think you could do, relaunching The Darkness. I thought it was perfect the first time around. There was no way in my mind that a relaunch was going to be as good as these last 4 issues have been. But issue 4 just dropped on Wednesday, gave us a good twist. And I believe that leads into what we have on FOC this Monday, Darkness vs. Angelus, correct?
It does, yeah. And so the idea of this book originally was that we wanted to create some sort of a backdrop. In the early to mid-90s, we had done these Tales of the Witchblade and Tales of the Darkness books, which included some of the older bearers. It wasn't quite as planned out as being integral to the overall mythology. It was just it was sort of the idea was that you have these powers that are passed down generationally. That was sort of one of the hooks of both of these characters. But with the Darkness and the Angelus in opposition as they are, we wanted to tell a story about how the current Angelus bearer in the current story, how she came to be. So this one-shot, oversized book that is coming out, I believe it's in mid-April. There's 3 chapters in it. One written by me, one written by Ryan Cady, and another written by Mark himself. And each one is a chapter dealing with the different time periods of this character. I wrote the first chapter with an artist named Patrick Gagne-Boutine, a French-Canadian artist who's mainly known for album work in France, but he did the chapter I wrote in the Witchblade special that with the Nottingham material. He did that, and is also creating a book. Yeah, it came out. His art is fantastic, and there's so few artists I've worked with where I've literally gone in because he added extra panels, and I've taken some of the dialogue out because it wasn't even needed. I wrote in one sequence, I wrote a single panel, and he turned it into 4 panels, little vertical panels, and it told the story. So I took the dialogue out, and I actually love that. For me, it's a visual medium. Obviously, the writing's important. That's the part I'm involved in. But I like working with artists that can kind of take charge, and I've always had that at Image. The artists have always sort of come first because the 6 founders were all artists. And working with Rob originally and with Silvestri for the last 28 years now. Jeez. 28 years I've been working at Top Cow. It's crazy. Long time. But, Mark's very art first, but he's been writing a lot lately. And And Mathias, I completely agree. Darkness, he's done a phenomenal job. I've been editing him with Ryan and Katie on that, and some of his ideas. It's been difficult, and you'll notice The Darkness is the only book that we do that has extra pages. You'll notice that some of the books are like 26, some of them are 28. That's just because you can't, as an editor, you can't tell your boss, no, you can't add pages. So he's added pages almost every issue because he just had more story he wanted to tell. And we don't allow that usually on the other books because every page is extra, so we kind of have broken that down. But so he's really jam-packed so much stuff into The Darkness. And the idea of this was it literally fits right into what he's doing in the arcs. Like this comes out between Darkness 4 and Darkness 5. So this comes out next in April. Darkness 5 comes out in May. Darkness 6 comes out in June. And then Darkness 7 is in July, which also is the Darkness Volume 1 trade. So we've actually been able to keep a timely schedule with this. And the idea with this was to give the art team a bit of a breather and also fill in something that actually does matter. A lot of the old annuals, and even some of the ones, honestly, we did in the early days of Image, they weren't really important to continuity. They were just kind of standalone stories. And I know some people like that Elseworlds kind of stuff, but these specifically we made very important to what is going on. Like this story absolutely explains why the Angelus is who she is and why she's out to gun for the modern bearer, Jackie Estacado. And it also sort of explains Jackie's father, who we've I think originally it had a different name, but the name for this guy is Gareth. And it ties in the stories. Like my story that I started starts in the beginning of the Dark Ages. And it starts, I'm not giving anything away because it's in the first panel and in the preview pages, but the Darkness actually kills the Angelus in that time period. And so that in 450 AD, you kill the Angelus and it starts the Dark Ages, and that's sort of ties into, thematically. And then there's and Ryan Cady in the second story deals with the Age of Enlightenment, which go figure. There's a new Angelus, she's back stronger than ever, and that's around the time of William Normandy, 1066 AD into that. So there's a lot of historical stuff. And the third chapter that Mark did deals with a lot of the more Civil War to modern Chicago fire and deals with the modern bearers. And he actually added in this really interesting thing that I think is really cool called the Lumen Noctis, which I don't want to give away what that is. But if you see some sort of strangely Latin sounding device in this book, it becomes very important to the ongoing storyline.
Yeah.
So, but
really briefly,
and there's oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, really briefly, I want to point out something I love. As the host of an FOC show with Billy, who does FOC notes all the time, Top Cow always does this, and I cannot appreciate it enough. These FOC images they provide on their social media to retailers and everything. This is a wonderful addition that you should always keep an eye out on Top Cow's social media. It will give you all the covers, all the important key information. This is just brilliant.
Well, thank you. I know I recently asked in the Facebook FOC group if anyone cared about this stuff, and the answer I got was universally yes. Because to me, I thought FOC was a little inside baseball, and I was wondering if fans actually knew what that meant. So if you look in the posts we do, we actually talk about pre-orders. It's final chance to pre-order. A little less use of the FOC itself. That's included in a lot of the artwork, but. The one highlight here is not just the two variant covers that we're doing, but also the I Hate Team Ups, the Fairyland cover, the Scotty Young celebration of issue 50 of I Hate Fairyland. And that was a lot of fun. And there's this, I think that's the Patrick Boutine variant. This is the guy who did 2 of the interior chapters. You guys should keep an eye on Pat. I think he's a fantastic artist. He's doing a brief arc on Fantastic Four. He's finishing up a original novel with me called Swords of Wintersea, which is kind of a fantasy book that I did based on my 40-year D&D campaign I ran. But that's his art for this cover, and he is really, really good. He's not a new artist. He's been doing French album work for decades. I mean, I think he's just a hair younger than I am. So he's a very established guy in European stuff and in Canada, but he's only just started doing American stuff. And
how do we draw him into American comics?
I don't actually, I'm the first one that worked with him. I think I met him 2 or 3 years ago, and I was thinking about at that time doing my D&D campaign I've done my whole life as an OGN. And so he and I sort of connected, and I showed him what the characters were, and he did the book. I mean, this is a way early thing, but I mean, this is literally the art. I mean, it's done. I mean, 200 and some odd pages of this original graphic novel based on my long-running D&D campaign. So I happen to have props. But you see, I did an island naval campaign when I ran my D&D stuff, and all these things. No one ever does naval. And I have 40 some maps, so we're doing like a campaign book and an OGN. So that's not going to be out for a while. It's got to be colored, and I got to letter it and a bunch of other stuff. But that's who Pat Boutin is. He and I did this book first, and then he did the Darkness one shot that was the Witchblade one shot that was the Nottingham story that I wrote. And he did two of the chapters in here. He did the chapter I wrote and the chapter that Mark Silvestri wrote. I'm a huge fan. He just draws in a way, you know how a lot of people can't do tons of panels. Like typically when I write a page, it's 4 to 6, at most 8 panels. He does pages that are 12 to 14 panels, and they work because he has the figures are very clean. And I think it's because of his style, and that's actually at the top of this image here. That's his art. And that's actually that's the shot in the first page of this book where the Angelus from that time period dies. He basically impales her in sort of that end of Excalibur. Is that a dated reference? Remember Borman? Where he impales the guy. You know, I mean, that's wow, show my age. But kind of a harken to that where the Angelus gets impaled, and that's his art there. And the I Hate Fairyland cover is his art. And just someone to really, really watch. I'm just such a fan of his work right now.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you brought up Wintersea because I didn't know if that was something, you know, last year I was so excited to see the ash can that you guys had at conventions, and I was waiting and just seeing that, you know, solicitations were canceled. So can we expect Wintersea in 2026, or is that going to be maybe next year?
It's probably going to be 2027. The reality, and I think Mathias, you and I talked about this a little bit at Comics Pro, but I got really sick. And I was sort of knocked out of the game for almost 9 months, and including almost 6 months where I wasn't really working at all. And so I've kind of gotten my health back together. And shockingly, I've done that with diet. You know, go figure. Just change my diet, exercise a little bit. But you know, I'm getting at that age, man. I'm pushing the big 6-0 in a couple years, so it's getting close.
Well, I'm glad to hear, though, that you're getting back there and that we're going to get Wintersea, because that has me excited. I think people are going to lose it for that.
I can't wait. We're just trying to figure out how to position it. It's so tough to launch new material these days. You know, when you're out of the game for a little bit. So working on a couple of things with Mark where he's kind of on a roll with Witchblade and Darkness. I figured that would get both me and Pat kind of back out there into the mix. And Pat's working with us on another new thing that Mark's writing. And Mark just announced this. I don't know if you heard, but the third original ongoing title we're going to be doing is actually Cyberforce. So there's going to be, we're doing Witchblade, which is approaching issue 25. We're doing The Darkness, which Mark himself is writing, which is planned and continuing as an ongoing. And we're going to be doing Cyberforce as well. We don't have the team locked in on that. But rather than trying to do, like we originally had 12 unique characters that we tried to push in the Artifacts Top Cow universe. And then there was a technological verse, which had Hunter Killer and all these things. I think for now, less is more. We're going to do Witchblade. We're going to do Darkness. We're going to do Cyberforce. We might occasionally do like a Magdalena one-shot fill-in, like kind of like this book where it brings in some of those characters. There's other characters we want to play with, and we can introduce them in the storylines. But I think, you know, there's not a lot of us. I mean, I think people look and think of Top Cow as being this massive company, but there's only really 5 full-time employees, you know, and we kind of do just a handful of books. And we have, thankfully, Image Comics as a huge support system. I mean, they've got 40-some employees, which we would need a handful of people to do all that work if we didn't have that. But this sort of allows us to really focus on making books, fewer books better. You know, I mean, that's sort of our mantra right now is we don't want to throw out too much stuff. You know, the occasional stuff we do pick up, like the Zach Kaplan books we were doing for a while, like Eclipse and Port of Earth. You know, I really like Simon Burks as a writer, and Willie Roberts, the team that did Antarctica. They were such a pleasure to work with, so we agreed to do Thing on Doorstep, which is sort of the scary H.P. Lovecraft story I always loved. And we'll pick up a thing like Henry Brahas's book, Death to Pachuco. We'll pick up these things on occasion. I think it's more of a what do we like internally? You know, like what books are we interested in? Who are we liking to work with? It's sort of a smaller, more boutique line. I mean, better. But Witchblade, Darkness, Cyberforce is the plan. We will include other characters in those story arcs, like we just included. Witchblade had Aphrodite 9 in it, and Witchblade 19, which just came out. Witchblade 20, which is also on FOC for Monday, has the Aphrodite 9 character in that as well. So a lot of good stuff. I mean, it's really exciting to work on. The fan base has done really well. There's Thing on Doorstep. That's the Simon Burks. It's the same team that did Antarctica for us, which is one of those. You put out a book and you don't know how it's going to do because the team might not be as well known, but then it just keeps selling. Like in not in like, blockbuster numbers, but you just keep selling like 100 copies a month of this or that or the other thing. You just keep selling, and you kind of look back at that. That's the same thing that happened with Henry Barajas on La Voz de Mayo, a book he did several years ago.
Very relevant right now with recent news of Cesar Chavez.
Yeah. In fact, he actually hit me up yesterday about doing a reprint with some new material in that to tie into what's Chavez. So we're looking at possibly doing that. His book, Death to Pachuco, the collected edition, just came out yesterday.
Yeah, I saw you were actually at his signing.
Oh yeah. I got caught in the open. He took a picture of me with the cowboy hat on. I hate that because when you live in LA, endlessly make fun of you when you wear cowboy hats. But it's the only hat I have, and it keeps the sun out of my eyes. It's hot here right now.
Listen, it never stopped Mathias, so cowboy hat away.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, good times.
Yeah, now everyone knows I have a cowboy hat. Thank you, Billy.
You're gonna have to wear it next week for the show.
Yeah, there it is. But oh man, so yeah, a lot of great things that you guys are doing. Before I dive into another great series of graphic novels you're doing, obviously for fans of Darkness who are excited about this Darkness versus Angelus one, you and Ryan and Marguerite also worked on a one-shot earlier this year, the Witchblade Annual that came out. Still available through Lunar, so for any reason you haven't picked this up and you want it, you can go to your store, either grab it off the shelf or a request that they order it through Lunar. And we have Witchblade 20, as you mentioned, on FOC this week continuing. So we're going to have, it seems like, a lot more of the classic Top Cow universe reinvigorated right now with Aphrodite 9. Are we going to see more of the artifacts lore? Or?
I mean, there's going to be some of it. Like I said, we're going to keep it small. I think less is more right now. Rather than throwing 10 books at the wall, we're going to focus on 2 or 3 and see how they do. And, with natural, sort of matriculation of these things, one of those series might end at 24 or 50 issues or whatever it is, and then maybe we'll launch a different one. But we're really excited. I mean, Marguerite and Mark have worked on this Witchblade book with Chevy Cafaro now for 2 years, and it's come out like clockwork. I think that's one of the things that I'm personally the most excited about. As a writer-editor, it's very rarely that I would personally make a book late, So we've been working with teams, and these books have been coming out, and they've been coming out on time. And that is exciting because I know for a long time we had a history of being late on a lot of things. And we still have occasional lateness issues with some things, but we've become better about it. And we're really focused on, especially on these books, on the monthly books, we're trying to make them monthly, which is why and it's kind of the Marvel strategy too. They used to drop these annuals in to give breathing room between creative teams or between arcs and stuff like that. And that is kind of what we're doing. But instead of just throwing out a book, like you mentioned, the Witchblade Annual that had that Step and Sage cover on it, that is another book that was really relevant to the Top universe, and it was about the character Nottingham. It was like, it's called the Witchblade Annual, but it's really about Nottingham. It's basically there's 3 chapters in there about 3 different parts of his life. And if you want to know what Swords of Wintersea will be like, read my chapter of that book, because I don't know if he's basically traveling through Irons' penthouse, uncovering all these traps and breaking in to find this letter. And I love kind of that kind of stuff. And it's fun to sort of put together. And there's tons of traps and crazy gizmos like that in all the books I do. I love that kind of stuff.
Awesome. So another thing I'm hoping you love is obviously great books. We mentioned Steppen, who did an amazing series known as Sunstone.
Yeah.
And you've worked on something in a similar vein that I know Billy is a fan of, and I am too, because we've talked about it a few times, Swing. Can we talk about Swing, which is still available to all retailers through Lunar Distribution?
Yeah, there were 5 volumes, and there was a collected edition that contained all 5 volumes, which is probably the easier, cheaper version. I mean, people think of hardcovers as being more expensive, but it has all 5 volumes in it. I think it's $50. If you buy the 5 individual volumes, I think the first one was 10 and the others were 15. So what is that? 30, 60, 70 bucks if you buy all 5 volumes. The one thing is the first volume is available on Top Cow's site as a free download. The slightly redacted version for possibly under 18 people. But we have a ton of free books on our website, which is one of the things I would love to continue communicating to retailers. You're welcome to download these and host them and share them or do whatever you want with them digitally to promote trade sales. You know, I've always been a big fan of the Image First plan. And if you just go to topcow.com under our catalog, there's a section at the bottom that says free comics. Hopefully by the time anyone really looks at it, that free comics will be at the top bar, which I've asked our web guy to change, but he hasn't done it yet. But if you go to catalog on the main menu down to free, you'll have, there's probably 100 different comics there, first issues of various titles, and in some cases, complete trades. I believe the first volume of Sunstone is available there as a free download. And the idea being is, and I've said this throughout my career, is I don't want anybody to buy a book they don't like. I really would rather not. I mean, once you get in someone as a reader to me is actually more valuable than a collector. Obviously, there's a huge collectible audience out there, but Swing is a sex positive book about a couple that's into, swinging, and I think sometimes it has a negative connotation, but we work very hard to make it. It's not polyamory, which is a whole different subject, which people confuse. And Sunstone, Swing, Sugar, a new book I'm working on that I'm writing in this vein called Swipe, which is about people in their mid-40s post-divorce online dating for the very first time. And I had a lovely story because that sort of happened to me. And so there's a lot of, I think, personal experience interactions that are carried through some of these stories, which sort of makes them more, I don't know if endearing or charming is the word, but we intentionally tried to make these books not sad and depressing. We also tried to avoid making them cheesecake, and I have to thank Stephen for that, because when I first wrote Swing Volume 1, there were 12 different drafts of the first issue, the first chapter, the first 20-some pages. I had to rewrite it like insanely amount of times because I just wasn't getting how to do it. I was used to writing science fiction, which is sort of a shorthand. Like if you look at Aphrodite 9, the first page, I have a Star Wars type text thing, which sort of tells you hundreds of thousands of years of backstory of these characters. But you can't really do that in a rom-com kind of book like this. And once I sort of studied the market with Sunstone, we realized that the vast readership for that book was middle-aged women. And so when you realize who's actually reading these books, you gotta design it and tailor it for that. So Swing, I worked with female artists intentionally on all these books, and whenever I get to something that was sexual, I actually sometimes, like I will with an artist now, I would, as an action scene, I'd be like, here's the 3 points of this sexual interaction that matter for the story. It's 5 pages, draw whatever you want. And I can tell you right now in Swing, that is exactly what happened. With the first volume that Linda did that, and then volumes 2 through 5 that Yish and Lee did that. And it doesn't come across as, I don't want to use the word skeevy, but cheesecake is the word I use. I think when something is designed for sort of the male view gaze, it's different than something that's designed as something that could be potentially appealing to a universal audience. And so the goal with these books in this line was to do a sex positive line of books that doesn't sort of diminish these markets. And, with Sunstone and the BDSM community, I was shocked at how many people would come up to me at cons and thank me for this, and say, hey, this book really reflects our values. I really hated 50 Shades of Grey. It's such a rapey piece of shit. And, and that's what they would say about that stuff. And they would really be thankful about Sunstone. I've had plenty of ethically non-monogamous people come up to me about Swing and say, wow, you really nailed a lot of the things about it. And, even a book like Fine Print, where when Cedric first pitched this to me, he's like, I want to write a book about a bunch of fuck-ups that stumble through relationships. And I'm like, you want to do what? He's like, no, just read the first volume. I'm like, okay. And, these books Swing was not like this, but Cedric and Linda both, Stepan and Linda, they put their books up on for free. I mean, the unedited sort of raw versions of these books, which you can see the editing that is done if you really want to compare it. But they list these books up for free. And these are some of our best-selling books of all time. So imagine books that are given away in advance for free become the best sellers of our print. It's an interesting dynamic, and I have to credit the Cedric specifically because none of it would have ever happened without them.
Well, you mentioned Yishin Lee just a little bit ago, and I just kind of want to jump in there real quick. I mean, we're going on 10 years. Are we ever going to get Sugar Volume 2?
You know, this is the same problem I have with trying to do a new volume of Think Tank. The same reason I have a problem with doing a new volume of Swing or Sugar is I kind of ended those stories in a place where I really like them.
Okay.
You know. I mean, if you read Sugar at the end of it, they're happily sitting there together. If you look at Swing, they're sitting on the porch when they're older and they're together. You know, you look at the end of Think Tank, you have him and he's with this group of people. It's like you have these dysfunctional people that found their families and their community and they're happy. You know, and the only way to write something new is to mess that dynamic up. And I am doing that with Think Tank. I've written a new volume with Rasan Ekadal that we are developing, and it deals with artificial intelligence. And I'm a little sad about how some of that's gone down, because it's probably for me my most personal book, because my dad was an engineer in the military. So a lot of this is sort of things that he has told me throughout my lifetime that I sort of codified and directed into a more modern version, down to where, you know, the idea of this was that the military recruits young scientists in science fairs in high schools. And if you go to any science fair in any major high school, you'll see that they are funded and promoted and sponsored by the NIH and various groups that are tied into the military industrial complex. So the military actually goes and recruits young geniuses through science fairs the same way, like, you know, major colleges will go and recruit Shaq when he's in 8th grade at some junior high. You know, it's the same process. It's just not as sexy, so not as many people know about it. And there's little things like they take away your passport. Once you become a military scientist, you're not really allowed to travel in the world anymore because they're worried you're going to be kidnapped, you know, and taken and used. Like, their knowledge is, in fact, there's some retirement community. I think it used to be, this is 15 years ago, it might be different now, but there was a retirement community at Fort Hood where they literally sat some of these older guys when they got older, because they were worried that some of the dementia-bound people might reveal secrets and stuff like that. And it's sad, but some of these people that have created and designed these things that have kept us protected for this past half century have not led great lives. You know, Oppenheimer is a good telling sort of some of those stories. I know I watched that, and I read and I met Richard Feynman back a million years ago, back when I was in college, and it was a good experience. But I don't know, just I love this book. It's probably, of all the stuff I've ever worked on, my personal favorite, which makes it, of course, it's my worst selling book.
Well, we can change that, because if anybody's liking everything that Matt is saying right now, all 5 volumes of Think Tank are currently available through Lunar Distribution, including the hardcover and the Image $1 #1. There is no reason you don't have access to this. If your store doesn't have it in stock, tell them you need it and they can order it for you.
And actually, that's another one where the entire first volume is on our site as a free download. So if you want to sample it, see if you like it. I mean, the first 3 volumes are black and white, because when I first started working on it with Ekadal, we weren't sure anyone would care, you know. And at that time, 2009 or whenever that was, I hadn't put out as much books, so it was sort of a new thing for me. I'd mainly been more on the marketing and editorial side. I had done Lady Pendragon in the 90s, and that pretty much was all I did for a decade. I got married in 1999, and from then to 2009 had kids and all that nonsense. Moved to Top Cow, and but then 2009 I started writing again, and I think I figured out the other day I've written like 230 books in that time period since 2009. And I did some math recently where, because I was my name is in a lot of the early Image books, that I think my name has appeared in print in like 600 million books. I mean, mainly in the masthead, you know, but I was just thinking about that. I'm like, God, that's a lot, you know. There's 600 million copies of, well, who knows how much is still in existence, but you know, we publish in 27 languages, you know, 57 countries around the world. A book like Think Tank, not so much, because the rest of the world doesn't seem to love the U.S. military. But a book with like Sunstone. Sunstone has been our global bestseller. I mean, that book is currently available in 27 different languages in 57 countries around the world.
It's amazing how that book, you know, I've been in the industry 8 years, how it just continues to sell. If I reach back, I think I could do the same thing. Let's see if I can. I just can't. It's just out of reach.
I even have it in French.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Why do you have it in French?
I like to read things in other languages. It helps expand my ability to.
Okay.
I don't get to speak other languages here in America very often, so reading, good books like Swing in foreign languages, fun. And also, they're hardcover in foreign countries. That's the really cool thing. I wish more American,
I do too. I mean, some of the coolest editions of things I have are the foreign editions, and they're one of the reasons why we started doing those thicker hardcover collected editions. I prefer the oversized one, which is why when you see the stuff like After 99, it's in the larger format, but the Cyberforce and stuff like that is in the slightly smaller format of the hardcover.
Right.
That's a personal difference between Silvestri and me. Like he likes, Sunstone is in the slightly larger. That book's out of print. And we were trying to figure out what to do with it because they're doing these, what we call small stone printings, the digest. Yeah. And so we were trying to figure out whether it was a good time we wanted to give, since volume 1 just came out, volume 2 comes out, I think April 5th or 8th. We wanted to give a little bit of breather before we bring back one of the hardcovers. I mean, we'll bring back the hardcover into print at some point, but right now the first volume of that is actually out of print.
Yeah. But I mean, it is the best example of what you're saying. Like, when you make a good book, people are going to want the print. Even you guys offer it for free. So if any of these things sound amazing, go to Top Cow's website, check out the first one. Steppen and Linda do an amazing job offering their books not only on their Tumblrs and Patreon and DeviantArt, but when you read these things, you're going to want to own them. Maybe even in multiple languages and hardcover and softcover format. Maybe you're just as insane as I am, but they're amazing. And the best part is Top Cow makes these available. They have them through Lunar, and you can reach out to your local comic shop. You don't have to go to a big box store. You don't have to Google around online. You can go to your local comic shop and order these amazing books in the formats you want. And with big ones like Sunstone now, whether you want the traditional size trade paperback, whether you want that hardcover when it re-releases, or you want the most affordable and easy travel-friendly size of these new compact editions, thanks to Matt and Mark, these are available.
Well, the one last thing I'll throw out to retailers in general is if you work closely with a library in your town, we are more than happy to gift copies of books, physical or digital, for available for use at the library. I've been doing that for a really, really long time. We don't just send them. And in most cases, a lot of the libraries will actually purchase them. But if it's a smaller town and a smaller library, if you want us to gift a copy or two of the digital editions, or send a copy or two out to them to where they can have that to kind of build interest. I think it also, some markets might not respond as well to Sunstone or Swing, and others will respond better. So know your industry and market. It's one of the reasons why we don't just send stuff out. But if there's a retailer that if you have a store and you have a library that you work with, and the other thing that, we do, Henry's done it, Ryan's done it. I've tried to get Mark to do it. He hasn't done it a lot, but we'll go on book clubs for libraries. And we'll just chat with people. And I've done it where there were 2 people there, and I've done it where there's hundreds of people there. You never know what you're going to get, but we're happy to do stuff like that when we can. I mean, I can't do 10 of those a day, but I try to do stuff like that. Again, what we want is we want people to read our books. Obviously we play the collector market by doing the limited stuff. We do that all the time. There's definitely a market for that. But for me personally, it's more important because a reader, someone who likes your book, likes who you are as a writer, likes who you are as an artist, they're going to seek you out. There's a reason why people follow certain creators. It's because they deliver a certain level of quality, a certain level of material that you respond to. And that's what we're looking to do. And if sampling is the best way to do that, we know it's very difficult to get people to try new stuff. So if any retailer goes on our site and sees one of our free downloads and they want to host that on their own site, just do it. You have our permission.
Excellent.
So on that note, as you said, people want to seek out the writers they like. If they want to seek you out, whether to contact you about doing a book club or a library thing, or just to discover when the next big thing is coming out from Mr. Hawkins, how do they find you online? How do they reach out to you?
Social media, I check pretty much daily. I'm on Facebook, Self-Loathing Narcissist, but if you just Google Matt Hawkins Top Cow, it'll pop up. Actually, if you just Google Matt Hawkins Top Cow, you'll pop up. The first few things that pop up are all my social media feeds. I'm Top Cow Matt on Twitter. I'm mhawk5222 on Instagram. But the easier ones to remember are just Top Cow. If you go to Top Cow on any of those things, in the profile will be both Mark and my personal profile handles. And you can click through that way, or we tag ourselves all the time. If you IM or DM through social media, if we're not friends or however it's connected and it goes into that alternate bag, I might only see that every other third week or so. Just be patient and I'll get back to you. If we are connected, I should see it right away. I'm usually fairly responsive. Sometimes I get caught up in deadlines and stuff like that. Give it 24, 48 hours. But since this is primarily a business audience, you can email me directly at matt@topcow.com. Anytime, matt@topcow.com is my direct email address. And then you'll get me right away that way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matt. A lot of great books from Top Cow and FOC this week in the way of Darkness vs. Angelus, Witchblade. We have, oh my God, I'm going to screw up the name on this. The Thing on the Doorstep.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm describing the comic rather than giving the title, is I think the issue I always have on that. But some great books. And then fresh off of Sunstone Volume 2 last week on FOC. So remember, reach out to your local comic shop. Get your orders in. A lot of great covers, a lot of great content. And I want to thank you so much for joining us, Matt. Like, I have not been so excited for Top Cow in years, and in the same, there's never been a moment I haven't loved everything coming out from Top Cow.
It's a good time, and thanks for having us on. I've heard I've been in comics since early 1993, and I think I've heard 15 different times that the comic industry is dying. And it seems like we always manage to find a way. People like this content. There's an audience for it. And I think that the retailers that are left, in my opinion, are all good. When I started, there were 15,000 accounts, and I would see retailers all the time. I didn't understand how they were in business, but now they're not. So I think the retail base is really strong, and anything I can do or Top Cow can do to help any retailer out there. We might not be the fastest at responding because there's so few of us, but we will try to help you.
Wow. Thank you so much on that.
Thank you.
All right. All right. You have a nice one, Matt, and we'll make sure you guys get your orders to your local comic shop as soon as you can for all those incredible titles and even some more that we're going to be talking about now from Penguin Random House, because we still have Penguin Random House to get through, Billy.
I meant to jump in there, though. The Thing on the Doorstep is actually one of the most pre-ordered titles this week at Coliseum Comics. Like, people seem very excited for that book.
Yeah, I have to say, it kind of snuck up on me. I was not expecting it, but the orders for issue number 2 really caught me off guard. So I am excited to see as this continues on, and I'm really curious how the trade sales are going to do on that.
Yeah. Sorry, we're on issue 3. Yeah, but it's going pretty strong. So
yeah, absolutely. So, all right, we got to dive back in with the Marvel folks and everything else at PRH. And one of the big ones is Marvel is returning to something classic. Going back to the mid-2000s, we were reviving the infamous war between Captain America and Iron Man and the Superhero Registration Act in the way of Civil War Unmasked. Christos Gage bringing us back to that classic battle and giving us new content from the original war.
I love Civil War. It's not a perfect story by any means, but it just has so many great character moments. So I'm excited to go back. I recently looked up when Civil War came out, and my bones immediately turned to dust. This is actually the 20th anniversary of Civil War.
Jeez. Yeah, I guess it was 2006. Yeah, the trade was 2007. Ooh.
Yeah. So, getting close to that drinking age there as well. It doesn't really feel, I mean, for me, it feels like that book just came out 4 or 5 years. If you asked me, like, and I didn't think about it, I'd be like, oh, it came out like 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, this is the 20th anniversary. So it's going to be an interesting take. Tony Stark is going to get a little bit of a Scrooge sort of a treatment where he goes and gets to see the days of future past and some of the outcomes of his decisions. And I think it's really exciting to visit probably one of the biggest Marvel stories in the past 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, and no one better to do it than Christos Gage. He's been doing an unbelievable job returning to classic tales and expanding on things. He is, I can tell you, a fan and a collector, but also a very brilliant writer, as one of the co-writers to the TV series that we all loved on Netflix, Daredevil.
Quickly, since we can't talk about Civil War on the EXP without me bringing this up, is the Ghost of Civil War Past going to explain to Tony Stark what would have happened if he would have let Captain America actually have a Captain America movie during that movie, or are we going to continue to believe that that movie was actually good?
Oh, that had layers to it.
Yeah. I had to dissect that one for a second, and then I got to the end of it, and I didn't like it. Didn't like it. Yeah. I do recall
will understand that this is a long-running joke of how much I hate that movie.
Everybody has opinions. I love this cover. I love it so much. I know I'm not an MTG guy where the secret layers haven't been it's very mixed how the Magic community is receiving them, but having a giant Magic the Gathering Spider-Man cover, I mean, I just want that in my collection. It's cool.
I've gone out of my way. I did not win the tournament that gave away one of the previous Magic the Gathering Spider-Man ones, so I had to go buy it off the guy who won. But I love these. I mean, I had to go track down the New York Comic-Con Storm, Magic cover. I think this is really awesome. Plus, look, that is a good, people can, speak ill of the Spider-Man Magic the Gathering set all they want. And look, there weren't always the greatest cards, but that is a playable creature right there. So I just want to have that moment where I drop a full-size comic as my Magic the Gathering card in the most illegal play the game has ever seen. But
I was going to ask, would that be playable? Could you drop that down?
I think that's incredibly playable. I mean, a 4/4 for 5 is a little pricey, but look, flying, and then whenever you gain life, there's so many moments you can gain life in Magic the Gathering these days with lifelink and other abilities. You get to put a +1/+1 counter on the choice of target creature you want and give that indestructible. I mean, that is a must-have in a life gain deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, this would be a commander staple for sure.
Yeah. So,
and also you could proxy it and actually play it.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, it is a legitimate card. You actually have the specs on the card for the originals, which is why I'm curious if it has the final cover may vary. So we might see some variation on the comic version, but that is a legitimate Magic card. It's crazy. I like that we're doing this. We got really in the weeds for Magic the Gathering there, and the Magic viewers are going to come in and just innocently rip me apart. It's like, well, why aren't you playing Aloro? And this deck is clearly not as superior as it could be. You can't put a full-size comic on the battlefield. But
I mean, that would be pretty cool, though. It's still really awesome.
So, all right, awesome series right there. Civil War Unmasked. I'm excited about that, and it's been a while since I've been excited about a Marvel book, which is nice to hear. So let's talk about something that is going to have a similar feeling to such expressions. Steve Ditko, not somebody who wanted to ever go back to Marvel, though perhaps one of the greatest Marvel creators out there, and a man who defined Spider-Man in its creation and early storytelling. Went on to do some really creepy things in the late 60s and early 70s. Creepy presents Steve Ditko is a collection of Archie Goodwin and Steve Ditko horror tales, short horror stories by the man who co-created Spider-Man. And let's face it, with a title like Spider-Man, it's shocking that that wasn't a horror series. This is, I think, anybody who truly loves the history of comics, its key creators, or horror in general, this is a dark horse collection to own.
Yeah, I mean, it's Steve Ditko. Why would you not want this in your collection? Especially if you're a horror fan, if you love those foundational creators like Steve Ditko. I mean, yeah, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't feel we need much of a pitch on it. It is an anthology of short horror stories by the legendary Archie Goodwin and the incomparable Steve Ditko, who, if you even look to only his Marvel work, his work on Doctor Strange, his work on Spider-Man, some of the most iconic imagery of the 1960s. Truly, I can think of a large amount of giant legends who worked on comics in the 1960s, and yet Steve Ditko stands above them, I will boldly state. To see his unique and very thought-provoking art styles in this genre is nightmare fuel to haunt you. And with that, I have to awkwardly leave away that concept, like a good horror story. And we're going to scroll down to something, though, that is drawing a lot of attention in horror. Well, I want to point out Exorcism at Buckingham Palace, which is set with its prequel storyline to be a film soon, Exorcism at 1600 Penn. This is a great one, and you can get the second printing and issue number 2. But I'm here for the House of Slaughter and its fall. James Tynion IV's incredible Something is Killing the Children series continues with another spinoff by Tate Bromball, Fall of the House of Slaughter.
Listen, I don't know if we've talked about this. I paid an obscene amount of money at an auction recently for the original House of Slaughter hardcovers signed by James Tynion IV, and so I mean, this again, yeah. So you know, anything set in that universe, I'm there. I mean that's the sell. It's amazing. You know, if you haven't read Something is Killing the Children, and then obviously going into to House of Slaughter, you know, obviously start there. But I'm super pumped for this book.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great concept. So this is taking place when the Grand Dragon of the Order of St. George is in his final days, and Celine Slaughter has to make the choices of how do we deal with the succession of the Order of St. George. Am I saying it is the Order of St. George? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, but I think it's Cecilia, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yes, Cecilia Slaughter. I'm trying to remember this all from just my readings, and this is content. You know, this like storyline wise is a couple years old that these moments were happening in Something is Killing the Children.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah, we're now getting the perspective of how this happened. So adding great content to James' unbelievable series. We're going to get another perspective. And that's what I've always liked about the House of Slaughter series, is seeing these other parts of the grand world that is Something is Killing the Children beyond just Erica Slaughter. So if
I'm not going to call it out too hard for cribbing Edgar Allan Poe, but they're cribbing Edgar Allan Poe and skinning it on the House of Slaughter, which is going to be, for lack of a better term, fucking epic.
Wow. Well, you don't get to hear Kyle curse a lot on this.
Yeah, I mean, Fall of the House of Usher is one of the most intense stories of family succession and, you know, to put it on the Slaughter family or the organization of Slaughter, to take that and, again, just kind of mix the two things together is going to create one of the most interesting horror but also suspense stories that I think you can imagine in modern comics.
Yeah. A vast array of incredible covers, as often Boom brings with the Sick Tick, you know, franchise. Something is Killing the Children. I don't know why I just verbalized the acronym there. But a lot of great covers. Undoubtedly going to be an amazing story. I'm excited for this. Almost as excited as I am for Mike Mignola's return with Hellboy. Mike Mignola, Christopher Golden, giving us yet another Hellboy in Love tale, a one-shot Black Eyes, which is going to deal with our beloved Hellboy and Anastasia. More stories with Hellboy. That's all I ever need in life. I wish this was a miniseries over a one-shot. It's probably going to be good as a one-shot.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, I just want more.
No, but you know that's you got to do. You got to always want more. But yeah, having more Hellboy from Mignola, it's never a bad thing.
Yeah. So simple, fun, easy to do. One cover, one book. No reason not to get it. All right. I mean, we're just dealing with a lot of things in hell right now, though. I will say, whether it's metaphorically or literally, in the way of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Infernal Hulk. I mean, this series, I don't know how you've been experiencing, Billy, but this has been something so different, and yet it is one of the hard-selling Marvel books right now. I thought I ordered a lot when I did this. We had Philip Kennedy Johnson to announce the series on the FOC show, so I thought I ordered a lot. and I have had to sell through multiple printings of this amazing book.
Same. It's the same here. I think it was, I think people missed the more horror elements of the Hulk universe that we had gotten with oh my God, why is his name escaping me
Immortal?
right now? Yeah, with Immortal Hulk. And so, getting that back and then kind of taking it to the next level in Infernal Hulk, I think it just brought all those readers back.
Yeah. And I mean, look, anytime Iron Man has ever fought the Hulk, it has been intense. The Hulkbuster armor, whether you read that in comics, saw it in cartoons, or got to witness it in live action in the MCU, every moment there was a Hulkbuster armor. That was a powerful, I gotta grab this comic. So now we got an Infernal Hulkbuster armor. I mean, we were talking about Angelus and Darkness before, but look at this just divine bit of I don't know. This seems biblical, this cover.
I was going to say, there's a lot of divinity going on here, a lot of biblical references. So,
yeah. So definitely exciting. I mean, we might have to have Top Cow's legal team reach out to Disney and Marvel, but definitely a cool cover and some great ones on there. But yes, the Hellbuster armor makes its debut in Infernal Hulk #6. I can only imagine what the foreshadow cover is going to look like there.
What a metal name too. The Hellbuster armor, like for real,
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of great continuing series, as well as final issues on a number of series coming out from these various publishers. A ton of manga continuing on too. So make sure you take a look at prhcomics.com before you reach out to your local comic shop. Let them know which covers you want, what things you're continuing on with, what things you might be dropping, as well as so much manga with some we'll be talking about momentarily. But another trade paperback I got to talk about. We've been talking about these compact editions, how affordable and amazing they are. And actually, before I get into that, I have to point out a Reincarnated Carrier's Strategy for Another World, Volume 2 on there. This is a very mature, very, very mature ecchi manga, I will state. But I have to give credit really quick and call out Taro Hayashi. Has probably some of the best layouts in sequential artwork, like up there with, Little Nemo. This is just some of the most amazing layouts in manga, and it's so weird because it is just ecchi hentai-esque manga. I don't understand how this guy can be like one of the best manga or comic art designers I've ever seen, and it's a TNA book. It really is. But I have to call it out there. So if you want to just really if you can get past the TNA part, or that's your thing, if you want something that just is iconic, this is unbelievable. This artwork exists in this beautiful design format. Hayashi oddly is that. But going to people who also draw beautiful women, let's talk Dave Stevens and this very affordable compact edition, over 250 or over 350 pages for $14. The Rocketeer Thrills, Spills, and Chills.
This is a steal. Rocketeer, one of my favorite movies growing up. The only thing that makes me sad is he only continues on in comics. I could watch a million Rocketeer movies. I could watch a Rocketeer TV show. I could play a Rocketeer video game. The fact that we still get Rocketeer content at all is incredible. Joe Johnson did amazing, with that movie. And at $13.99, are you kidding me? This, you can give this to somebody that you want to get into the Rocketeer and get them into the Rocketeer, right? This is amazing.
I gotta say, at $14, I would have figured it was one of two things. It was either just the Dave Stevens original stuff, or just the IDW Rocketeer Adventures. No, you're getting all of that in one binding, which means you're not only getting classic David Stevens, but you're also going to get Stan Sakai, John Cassidy, Darwin Cook, Mike Allred, just every one of these amazing legendary creators' short stories from Rocketeer Adventure compiled on with those original and defining Rocketeer tales by Dave Stevens.
As a retailer, you have to stock that book. I mean, somebody wants that book.
Yeah. I mean, and at that price point, you will just always sell this. This is great. Supposedly, new Rocketeer coming to Disney Plus at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen, but um, I'm in it. And again, just like the DC compacts, Top Cow's recent compact with Sunstone, the IDW and Oni compacts are well worth the attention. They're properly curated, amazingly affordable entry point, and some absolutely brilliant tales collected at an ideal, travel size form.
Yeah.
All right, we got to rush through the rest of PRH so we can get over to Lunar. Let's talk about another manga, The Scum Laugh. This is Zootopia for adults. This is mature, dark Zootopia as you get anthropomorphic beasts doing human-like activities in dark, mature ways.
This is not on my radar.
Yeah, this is out there. It is definitely... It is not an anthology in that it's different creators, but it's almost an anthology of short stories in the life of this feudal equivalent of an anthropomorphic city. You're going to get tales of wolves, foxes, elks, odd relationships. I mean, and I'll give the quick read on this. The wolfman Desco once slaughtered his family out of morbid curiosity. Now he has a family of his own. Hot, a wealthy elk heir struggling with their gender, falls in love with Clivia, a fox woman servant. And together they must hide their relationship from Hot's domineering father. These are just some of the stories you're going to get in this series. This is a really out there manga. But it does that traditional thing we get ever so wonderfully constantly with anthropomorphic tales, whether it be Mouse or Secret of Nim or any of these classic tales like Animal Farm. You have the ability of really looking at humanity when you don't have to use humanity to do that. And I think the Scum Laugh is going to be a dark, twisted one that is not for every manga fan, but for people who like thought-provoking sequential art, this is going to be a book for them.
And as an immature person, the title is just fun to say. I enjoy that. The Scum Laugh.
Yeah. And now you got me laughing at it. So there we go.
See? Yeah.
All right. Well, you want something more immature? How about a great yaoi manga that has the weirdest twist? Shinjuku 69 Heaven. This is a boys love manga from Tokyo Pop, and it dives really into the dark end of yaoi right there. It is going to be very mature, but it is the tale of a young reporter who is making his way through the various male brothels of Shinjuku. However, when he sleeps with one of these top-tier male escorts, we'll say, he might have feelings. And he's never had that before. But when his new writing gig is to place himself in an apartment with a roommate he has never met for 3 months, and that roommate happens to be that escort that he slept with, you can only imagine where this story is going to go. Very unique tale, very odd collection of concepts here, and yet if you are looking for a raunchy bit of yaoi to bring your heated rivalry to a new level, this could be it.
Oh, good plug there. That should definitely get some people's attention for sure.
Absolutely. All right.
Things that weren't on my bingo card for today is talking about male prostitution with Mathias. Not on my bingo card for today.
Oh, I always have that one on my bingo card. That's like that's like the spot in the middle that you just know might happen.
I just text Billy now and then, meet me at the cottage.
Yeah.
Listen, talking about boys love manga, I totally expect from this show, but like that was not what I had on my bingo card at the start of the day. I should have looked harder at that manga.
All right. Well, Amazon has Spider-Man Noir starring Nick Cage coming out soon. So, of course, now's the time to read up. We have a facsimile of Spider-Man Noir and a trade paperback for the sequel series, Spider-Man Noir, The Gwen Stacy Affair, to catch you up and get you ready for more black and white craziness. Then, talking about spider trades, Billy, tell me about some Brand New Day.
Let's talk about Brand New Day. I'm actually pretty stoked for this. If the trailer for the new movie titled Brand New Day just dropped 2 days ago. If you haven't watched it yet, turn us off and go watch that, but then come right back because you need to hear the rest of this show. Brand New Day, they had the miniseries, but that storyline spanned over like something like 3 or 4 years, right? It's been forever since I thought about this. But they are going to do this is technically a comic. It's $9.99. It is digest size. And we are going to get some classic Spider-Man stories that kind of made up that whole Brand New Day era. We've got Zeb Wells and Chris Bacallo. We got Bob Gale and Mike McCone, Dan Slott, Mark Guggenheim. Joe Kelly, we talked about Joe Kelly at the top of the show. We're going to reference Matthias' shirt. We've got a Mark Waid story in here. These are full issues in this. I hate to call it a standard comic. It's a standard comic. It is digest size, but it is going to kind of encompass that Brand New Day era of Spider-Man. So if you're getting hyped for the movie, or maybe you just missed that era, this is a great easy pickup to go explore that and get hyped for the movie even more than the trailer already has me hyped, because I think, spoiler alert, there may be an X-Men in the movie, but we'll see.
9 stories, 328 pages, only $10. This is ridiculous. The weirder part to me, and this kind of goes back with the Civil War thing, is in my mind, the Brand New Day era of Spider-Man was not that long ago.
Yeah.
But I forget how many legendary comic creators. I keep saying legendary, but I mean, I do mean it. How many huge figures in the comic industry: Dan Slott, Mark Waid, Zeb Wells, Joe Kelly, Mike McCone, Chris Bachalo. All these people were working on Spider-Man at that time to help revive its dwindling sales. And damned if they didn't do it.
And the crazy thing about this is, first of all, going back to our age, this year, the Brand New Day, I believe it started in ASM 558, 557, something like that.
Yes,
right?
Something like that. 576.
Yeah. So somewhere's in the 500s, and it is old enough to vote this year. The Brand New Day storyline. But it ran. I mean, the initial Brand New Day initiative and then the stories, it ran for a few years through the Spider-Man titles, and this is like a great like kind of time capsule of that Brand New Day era. Like I said, leading up to the movie. So, and at $9.99, all those creators: Dan Slott, Mark Waid, Joe Kelly. I mean, why wouldn't you? As a Spider-Man fan, why wouldn't you want this in your collection?
Yeah. Now here's a fun one. Well, Billy and I live a world apart, or at least a country apart. We are both very close to a galaxy far, far away in the way of Galaxy's Edge. Many of you guys who have been to Disneyland or Disney World have been to the incredible part of the park that really submerges you into the Star Wars universe. And now we're back with a brand new Galaxy's Edge story. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge echoes the Empire as they prepare to introduce the original trilogy cast into the 2 parks. We're going to get a new story with Luke, Leia, Vader somehow, and more by original Galaxy's Edge writer Ethan Sacks.
Which is awesome. I think we both kind of live in the shadow of the mouse a little bit, and there's no escaping the Galaxy's Edge here for us at Coliseum of Comics. We a lot of our subscribers at our stores are cast members at the park. One of the coolest things, and I don't know if people are interested in knowing this, but when you get hired on at Galaxy's Edge, part of your role is you actually have to come up with your character's backstory. So if you engage with a guest and they ask you questions, you can talk about who you are based on Star Wars lore. And that's that's a job requirement at Galaxy's Edge. So it's a very immersive experience. I'm not trying to sell Disney tickets. Disney does very good at that themselves, but if you're a Star Wars fan, you got to grab this, especially if you enjoyed the first Galaxy's Edge. Or if we're coming up summertime, it's vacation time. A lot of people are going to be hitting the parks. This is going to be a great way to get primed for going to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. So shops, particularly around Orlando or Anaheim, you want to stock up on this. I love that they got Eric Timmons to do a concept art piece on there, because I want to say he did the one that was only exclusive to park employees the first time around.
Yep.
And I mean, that's worth a fortune. I know I had to pay near.
You have a copy?
To get it. I do have a copy. The advantage of being near a park, I found an employee who was willing to part with it.
See, I thought I would be that lucky, and I bribes and begging and every trick in the book besides just outright thievery did not work. So I do not have a copy. I think Part of the cool thing about Galaxy's Edge, the park itself, is the people that tend to work there tend to actually be, big Star Wars fans. And so getting them to part with something like that, it was a long shot, but lucky for you, you managed to do it somehow.
Too much money. That was all it was. I had a big regret when I had to pay off that credit card bill. But yeah. All right. I think that we've been lacking Kyle input. So Kyle, what is your pros pick of the week?
So this is Startup Hell by Caitlin Rosakis. Excuse me. Do you guys, when you were growing up, did you have that friend who's like, they had a single mom who was maybe a little bit too what's the word I'm looking for? Flirty. They were always the ones that the pants were a little too tight, the shirts were a little too low cut, they were a little too, the dad maybe was they were widowed and mysterious circumstances.
Are we talking about
your friend?
Right now?
Yeah, basically Stacy's mom, but your friend was super square. Like they were the ones who knew how to write, C++ and HTML code when nobody else did.
Yeah,
and could program robots. That's
Kyle's
this
taking
book,
us on a
right?
journey.
Right. This is the story of a young girl, or a girl who is working at a tech startup as a coder, and her mom is a badass witch, like warrior. So she's living in the shadow of this mom that is a larger than life character, and all she wants to do is meet her like work requirements. And so you have this story of a girl whose mom is basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she is that person that Steve Jobs hired to make sure that the letters went in the right place on your iPad, right, or on your iPod. So this is it's a coming of age sci-fi. It's not really coming of age, but it's a sci-fi prose fantasy novel. Again, when your mom is the biggest demon slayer, leader of the Shadow Council of Wizards, and you just like want to keep your head down and get your work done, what does that look like?
I mean, I'm really shocked that I just discovered that Kyle had a Mrs. Robinson is trying to seduce him kind of.
Yeah.
But
I feel like we learned a bit about Kyle there.
But I'm really now into startup hell. I kind of want to grab this prose.
Like everybody around here had a wine aunt, like an aunt that like, wait, how much have you had? You should go sit in the corner. And that's who I imagine the mom in this book is. Like if Buffy the Vampire Slayer had a Chardonnay addiction. So I'm very excited to give this book a try. It's not generally something that I would read were it just up to me. But the idea of trying to parse the two worlds, right, of the very straight edge, strict sort of, tech normal world of I just want to go to work, get my job done, keep my head down, meet my quotas, versus the absolutely bat crap crazy, family story seems like a great dichotomy that is worth exploring.
And great sprayed edges on the side of the book. That wonderful death before decaffeination coffee cup.
I'm digging through the Dungeon Crawler Carl series right now. But I may have to put those down and pick this up. Kyle, I think you sold me.
I finished book 7 this morning, Billy.
Oh, I'm halfway through book 1. I picked it up and I was just like, what? And I started reading it. I was just like, and these books are available at your local comic shop. You can ask for them to order it. Surprisingly, doing business with one of the largest book publishers in the market gives us access to a lot of great prose novels as well. So it has expanded for at least for us, probably for you as well at Nowhere, but here at Coliseum as well. We are stocking prose novels more and more now because I'm so excited. People are finding reading again. They're finding literacy and the escapism of a great comic or a great prose novel. And this is just a great example of that.
Yeah. 20 years ago, I don't think I could have talked about, prose novels on an FOC show, though I also didn't think I'd have an FOC show 20 years ago.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Kyle, we've learned a lot about you here. Let's learn a little bit more because it turns out you're a dirigible guy. So
So I'm a dirigible guy because of Dungeons and Dragons. Like, let's be real here. Because of tabletop RPG, I am a dirigible guy. I worked on a tabletop RPG called Clockwork Dominion, and we wrote an entire 8-hour convention encounter that's set on an airship. So I have done what one would call an unreasonable amount of research into zeppelins, dirigibles, flying airships, and giant balloons. And so this book, What Ended the Golden Age of Airships, the Hindenburg Disaster, which is a Who HQ graphic novel, which is an all-ages graphic novel that kind of explains what happened with the Hindenburg and what happened with, blimps, and the idea of we could travel around on them, is a very interesting concept. And before the show started, I was explaining to Matthias the actual reasons why we don't travel on zeppelins. And
oh my mind.
The actual economic reasons that turns out trains are just as effective, if not more effective. So,
did you guys know
really fun piece of research?
So going into your research, did you know that there is still a dirigible dock on the top of the Empire State Building?
He told me that.
And the Sears Tower.
Empire.
And the Sears Tower.
And the Sears. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, you missed out on the conversation. That's why you had to come an hour early, Billy.
I know. I will. I'll be on time next time. I promise. But I grew up. I grew up an hour and 45 minutes from where the Hindenburg crashed in Lakehurst, New Jersey. And so this is everybody knows the big historical events that happen in their backyard, and so this is always something that I was super interested in, and it's always fun to hear other people that are interested in that part of history as well. So. This is a great middle grade book. What do they have it rated as?
8 to 12. So
so we're middle grade. Great. I think it's a great way to introduce kids to history, especially like a really weird foregone era of history. Because why did we think like putting explosive gas into a balloon and then flying people on it was the future way of travel? Yeah.
It's got a great line. You can see all the Hue HQ on PRH Comics. You can order all these through your local comic shop. You can get them all in softcover and in hardcover. So it's a great deal. And now I just feel like I'm lacking because I'm the only person without dirigible facts. Like, I saw Indiana Jones and watched him punch a guy out a window for not having a ticket.
Hey, you've seen The Rocketeer as well. There's a great scene.
You're right. Yes. Yeah. Man, dirigible boys. I like this. All right, let's wrap up PRH because we are running really late with Wolverine 19. It's Wolverine versus Hulk. That's all I got to say. Wolverine versus Hulk. Or sorry, Hercules versus Hercules. Whoops.
He's not green. But he is big and mean and angry. So,
yeah. All right, Wolverine.
Technically, he's hairy and played by the guy who played Ray Kent. Anyway.
All right, let's pop on over to Lunar Distribution. We don't have a huge amount of time. Remember, lunardistribution.com. Scrolling down to upcoming FOC. Make sure you click March 23rd because that's what it is. And we're going to start off with Absolute Batman. For the first time ever, I'm going to tell you outright, Absolute Batman didn't make it to the top 10 at all. But it does have the first appearance of the new Scarecrow. And look at that Deathstroke off to the side. Ooh. Billy's going to hate me for my top 10 this week.
Uh-oh. I'm allowed to complain, right?
Yeah, a lot of great reprints.
There is a lot. You've got the Absolute Batman annual. I mean, if you missed out on that book, grab it and read it and love it. Everybody else has already. You're a little late to the story, but I'm really excited to see that to be able to put that back on the shelves for everybody as well.
Yeah. All right. We've got more Barbaric, the wrap up of that story. A lot of great continuing ones after this unbelievable week. If you have not gotten to your local comic shop yet this week and grabbed the 3 big new DC hits of Batwoman, Lobo, or Deathstroke, you are doing yourself a disservice, and you're hurting your comic shop. They have it on the stand waiting for you right now because it is hot. Go grab those and get your orders in for issue number 2s on all 3 of these titles. some amazing covers across the board.
I was at MegaCon yesterday, and somebody came up into the booth, and they were like, "Hey, what's going on with Batwoman these days?" And I was like, "Well, I'll have you know, you can swing by any of our local comic shops here in Central Florida and pick up Batwoman #1, which just dropped this past Wednesday." So I'm really excited for Next Level. Yeah,
absolutely. But one where I think we're both excited about is Corpse Knight.
Corpse Knight's awesome. It's going to be so cool. This is going to be one of those ones where I think it's going to get speculator interest. And so, if you are looking to collect this and read it, because it just sounds like such a cool story, this is definitely one of those books at your shop for sure. Because I do think it's gonna get a lot of eyes on it. Rico Renzi, man, that guy can draw. There's no way this book isn't awesome. And with the recent kind of resurgence of Image #1s, like I think this is going to get a lot of eyes. This is definitely one of those ones you want to make a pre-order for.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be the spec book, I think, the week of release when that hits April 22nd. It's another big one. It's Michael Chaves, who brought us the Conjuring movie franchise. So that's a huge one. You got Matthew Roberts returning after his unbelievable Skybound Creatures from the Black Lagoon miniseries. It is the story of a young girl in war-ravaged France who has her dead father protecting her as a knight. It is not going to be as clean as that. It is a dark tale, only a 6-issue miniseries, but 6 haunting issues and some great covers available. So more fun with Skybound. And of course, since it's Skybound, why would we not have a die cut mask foil cover?
Who doesn't want to be the Corpse Knight?
Yeah. All right. We obviously got to talk with the incredible Matt Hawkins, who is joined by Ryan Caddy and Mark Silvestri on Darkness versus Angelus, giving us that prelude to the big battle between Darkness and Angelus in the upcoming Darkness #5. This will give us classic tales of the two concepts of order and chaos, light and dark, battling throughout time and leading us up to the big battle between the Angelus and Jackie Estacado himself, the current bearer of the darkness.
It feels really good to go back. It's like when you were a kid and you had stopped playing with action figures a few months ago or a year ago, and you go back to your toy box and you find them and you remember your love for them again. That having Witchblade in the Darkness back, that's exactly what it feels like.
Just my college years all over again. Yeah. I love it.
Ooh, that's like middle school for me.
Not that much difference. So we're just aging too much here.
Same difference.
Right. Marshall Dillon and Tim Seeley continue their Darkstalkers Street Fighter crossover with yet another one-shot in the overarching 5th part of the Lords of Makai. This is the Queen's Shadow as we try and get Chicago back to Earth. I don't know if it's going to happen this issue, but we've got a lot more fun of some of your favorite characters from the 2 video game franchises. I've just been loving this. And, of course, another Brett Bean cover by the guy who did Dork, Brett Bean.
He's at MegaCon right now, and I know as of yesterday, his line was capped today and yesterday. Brett Bean, such a sweet guy, and I am so happy for his success. Last year at MegaCon, you could have walked up and hung out with him and talked to him and kept him company on in Artist Alley. This year, you better book ahead.
Yeah, it is that insanity. I think back of last year at Comic-Con, he sought me and my fiance at the time right after I proposed to her, and came and congratulated us. And he's always been that guy who is just so personable, so sweet. And now it's going to be you're going to have to line up to get near him. And I'm sure he'll still be the most amazing person you'll meet all weekend. But his stuff is blowing up. So don't miss out on things like this or his Barbaric cover.
Yeah, I remember when this moment happened for Scotty Young at a C2E2. And it's like, could not happen to a better guy. And I feel the same way about Brett Bean. It could not happen to a better guy.
I love that when somebody breaks big and they're just genuinely good humans. Scotty Young is a great example as well, where it's like they're in the industry, they do great work, and then all of a sudden they just become a household name overnight. And I mean, Dork is such a cool book. If you're reading his stuff, why wouldn't you grab that book as well?
Yeah. All right, Dead Teenagers. If anybody hasn't gone out and grabbed number 1, it's probably hard to do right now. This is a like $20 book on the aftermarket, but don't worry, there's a second printing on FOC, and you do not want to miss it. Even the Oni and Image number 1s that are going to second, third, fourth printings in the case of Dork, they're still skyrocketing into the aftermarket. So get your pre-orders in so you can get this affordably. Because have you guys read this? It was amazing.
I'll be honest, I don't want to say I was turned off by the title, but like I was like, what is this going to be? I mean, I read the solicit. It's done very well for us, which is great. It is still in stock at Coliseum of Comics. I just checked for first prints, but I actually haven't read the first one. Fill us in. Give us the overview.
All right, so Dead Teenagers is Groundhog's Day at a high school prom. The kids have to keep living it over and over and over again, as every time they are murdered in a brutal way, whether it's something as crazy as a giant lizard infiltrates and eats everyone, an earthquake rips apart the ground and sucks them all in, they get drunk and crash their car into the prom. They are on well over 1,000 repeats of death at the high school prom. But now they're starting to finally figure it out. Just like in Groundhog's Day, they're starting to figure out how to make changes, start applying logic and adjust. All while unfortunately being drunk from partying it up as teenagers will at their high school prom.
Are you sold me? So it's like what? Final Destination meets Groundhog's Day meets Carrie?
With a good bit of comedy in there. Now, here's my favorite part. I haven't even gotten to the twist. The twist is eventually they do figure out how to change things. And we have to jump forward 25 years in time to the modern age, and they don't know what happened to their lives in that gap between prom and now adulthood, in some cases, even parenthood.
Oh, so a little bit of die in there as well.
Yeah.
This sounds a lot like what my my class is going through as we approach our reunion, right? It's a bunch of them are still living high school prom and a bunch of us have moved on.
Yeah. But this honestly is one of my favorite things. I mean, we're in a great year of comics. So many things I'm loving right now, from Dork to, all the absolute titles. I am in love with, what was the other one that I'm really enjoying? White Sky, Nectar. Like the reason some of these things are hitting is because they're truly good. And Dead Teenagers, definitely one of them. Tigress Island. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see. I love indie books, and to see indie books getting their flowers and really just blowing up week one has been a lot of fun this last month or so.
Yeah. So let's quickly rush through again. Deathstroke continuing on. New books that are continuing, or a lot of continuing books. I want to give a shout. Elric, the Sleeping Sorceress. If you haven't been reading the Michael Moorcock Elric comic books that Titans have been putting out, these are some of the coolest fantasy stories ever. This is just DreamWorks for your Dungeons and Dragons, plans. This is the foil cover. Next week we'll have the traditional covers on FOC, but this is one to pay attention to. You can expect me talking about this next year or next week, or perhaps Billy and Kyle, because I'll have to talk to them afterwards if I'm going to be able to join next week. But a lot of wonderful continuing series. Vertigo's End of Life. The big one I got to talk about, Fireborn. Fireborn is Kurt Piers and Franklin Jonas giving us the equivalent of Invincible meets Batman. It is
with a little bit of Sentai in there, or maybe even some Kamen Rider.
Ooh, good call, Kamen Rider. Yeah. This is definitely interesting. It is a young boy, son of a rich man, who goes off and likes to play vigilante, and then discovers a dragon egg that gets him powers. Simple. It's great. It spins out of the world of lost fantasy, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. And I mean, I think this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, you know, if you're already reading Radiant Black over Image, or like you, I think you maybe mentioned Invincible. I mean, they have the Invincible homage cover there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun book. It's gonna be the Absolute Batman homage. That's great too. I really love Lost Fantasy Lost Fantasy. They suckered me in with the Final Fantasy VII homage cover on #1, and I've just been with it ever since. And so I'm really excited to see that universe expand.
Yeah. And on that note, well, we briefly have to talk about G.I. Joe and the return of Scarlet and Storm Shadow, the best G.I. Joe character, let's be honest. You know, I'm excited about that in issue 21. G.I. Joe's just been kicking butt. We got to talk about, oh God, no, there's too much. I can't just jump to Lost Fantasy. So sorry. Let's go talk about this. G.I. Joe, Storm Shadow returns. G.I. Joe, Silent Missions, Zartan gets a one-shot with no dialogue. That's great. This one, I really wanted to make this my honorable mention. I didn't ask for this. Tells the tale of a group of kids growing up in this new era of social media where their parents are influencers and have tracked every single part of their life, every key moment, every embarrassing moment, every little bit of thing that would get hits on their entire life through social media. And now they have to deal with it. And we're coming up on that. Billy's of a generation where his kids might be already experiencing it, and I know my son is having to. But this is a very interesting quandary that I don't think we're truly contemplating how this will affect children over the next decade.
I think I'm right in that sweet spot of elder millennial, where like there was not constantly a camera or phone that recorded everything around you all the time. And so I got away with way more than I think, like our sons will ever get away with, because again, somebody has a high definition camera in their pocket or in their hand, literally 24/7. So, this is definitely a social issue that we are going to butt up against much sooner than later. And, having media like this I think is addressing that is fun. I think it's a good way to approach that I don't know if I'm going to call it a problem, but it's definitely something we need to talk about.
Yeah, and it is interesting. It is shocking. This is the first time I see somebody really talking about this in sequential art or prose, or realistically, I hate to say anything. I don't even feel I get to see news articles or real discussions about this yet.
Yeah, but I mean, our boys are right around the same age, and they're gonna hit that wall where they start making mistakes as kids do. But the difference between them and us is like I said, there was nobody around recording it or saving it for posterity. Have to be very, very careful about how they engage with the world where everybody's watching all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say it this way. I am glad I don't have to have a Groundhog's Day Ted teenager moment of my prom, because I am thankful there are no photos of whatever the heck I was wearing.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. I'm gonna have to do like a Nardwuar deep dive and see if I can find a picture.
The fun thing, it was a film era back then, so I don't honestly think there's anything on the internet. Hopefully, God knows. Yeah. All right. Yep. All right. We got to run a little bit faster. Obviously, Ice Cream Man return. Always a big moment whenever that happens. Issue 45. We have more Battle Beast with the new Invincible season having started on Wednesday. Battle Beast having his battle with Conquest. It's going to go crazy here. We have more Lenore. Wonderful series of one-shots returning Roman Dirge, the classic character. Lobo, Part 2. Obviously, Lost Fantasy. This is a huge one I have to take a moment on, because Lost Fantasy, more Kurt Piers. We have Franklin Jonas doing a backup with Kurt that will lead into Fireborn, so this is a must-have. And you have Timmy Haig, retailer out of Southern California, teaming up with the incredible Eamon Winkle, who did Principles in Necromancy, giving us another story focusing on Bombshell, our protagonist right here.
Well, Final Fantasy VIII homage right there.
I love all the Final Fantasy and video game homages with this. This is awesome. A lot of great covers on both Lost Fantasy and Fireborn to choose from, and wonderfully deserving series. I hate to say, the worst idea for a facsimile that anybody has had in a good while, Man of Steel. I think this is still a dollar bin book everywhere, but now you can get it again and in foil.
and for $4.99. Wonderful.
Yeah. Mumra continues as the third part of the Thundercats and Silverhawks crossover. The one thing that gave us the idea that they were in the same universe all those, 40 years ago. Oof. Mumra, great new book from Dynamite.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
Thundercats premiered in 1984, right?
Yeah.
So it was 42 years ago.
Oh, Silverhawks was a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my
I was born in 84, and so I grew up with Thundercats and syndication. It was like the cartoon that came on as soon as we got home from school, but it had already been around for 4 or 5 years at that point.
Yeah. Oh, craziness. Narco continuing on. I mean, if you're not reading Narco, you're missing out already. But now, get the second printing was on FOC last week. You can get issue number 2. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, as well as all these great things like the new reissuing of Titans to New Titans, which is unbelievable. Again, if this week was a week to go to your comic shop. If you haven't already, when you go in to tell your comic shop what books you want, what covers you need, go grab all of the incredible books that dropped this past week, including all these amazing DC books like Nightwing, New Titans, Deathstroke, Lobo, Batwoman, and more. Radiant Black continuing on great. Redcoat continuing on amazing. And if for any reason you haven't read Redcoat, this is one of the best books at Ghost Machine. I'll outright say it is the best book at Ghost Machine. The deluxe edition right now will get you caught up with the first 14 issues. A film is on the way. Script is written. You're going to want this. This is just brilliant.
I'm going to fight with you. I'm a Geiger guy. I've always been a Geiger guy. Junkyard Joe is amazing. Redcoat is awesome as well. But I mean, Geiger's my favorite book in over there at Ghost Machine for sure.
I mean, I got to say, though, Redcoat, all in the same universe. And this is also going to be your first appearance with the first Ghost prelude.
You're both wrong. It's Hyde Street.
Ooh, I like that we're fighting over our best Ghost Machine. All right, leave it in the comments, folks. Come on, get your opinions in there. All right. Reprints of Gotham's Sirens Love Hurts, the incredible Babs Tarr and Teenie Howard. We have more Spawn than you can shake a stick at with Rat City, Sam and Twitch, and of course Scorched, which we thought was on FOC last week and made it into our top 10. It's the only reason why you're not seeing it in the top 10 this week, but some great covers. And Todd McFarlane writing. Before he hands the reins over, I can officially say it now, to Matthew Rosenberg.
Oh, I wanted to say it so bad. Yeah, they just announced it. Matt Rosenberg taking over on Spawn. I'm very excited for our boy. That's gonna be a fun journey.
Yeah, no,
I wonder if your producer already talked to him about joining us when his first Spawn issue comes out. I wonder if that happened.
Did we talk to him about that? Yeah, actually, we talked to him about it at Comics Pro, like before he sat down with Todd in the hotel lobby and didn't get anyone's attention for like 2 hours. I'm always shocked that didn't like hit Bleeding Cool or one of those news sites. All right, Super Creep Show. Speaking of Todd McFarlane, look at that wonderful homage to Todd McFarlane work by Pi Par. We talked up Red Sun last week. If you're not grabbing this, if you haven't read this, this is a must. One of the greatest Superman stories ever told in the most unconventional way. Superman Unlimited continuing. Tigress, woo. There's a naughty cover there, so, pay attention when you're looking through this. They did not censor that. But Tigress Island, super hot book, amazing battle royale, all-female-esque tale. Issue number 2 on FOC, some great covers. One of them, again, naughty, so careful. I had to cover that up. You do not want to miss out on that. All right. We had to wrap things up, so we're rushing towards that top 10 with more Vampirella reprints and new issues of Armageddon, Walking Dead Deluxe, and then the big one, Witchblade teaming up with the greatest cyber assassin ever, Aphrodite 9. Beautiful creation from Dave Finch, owned by Top Cow. And now, in our Witchblade series with Giuseppe Cafaro and Marguerite Bennett, some beautiful covers there. One of them is going to be in our top 10. So right after I talk up Wonder Woman, let's get to it. Wonder Woman 32. Man, have you been reading Tom King's unbelievable run on this?
Oh yeah, I actually got to do right before he launched this. We did my show Coliseum Forum to talk about it, and I was so sold on this book right from the beginning. If you're reading Absolute Wonder Woman and not reading the mainline Wonder Woman story, what a disservice you're doing yourself, because this has just been a blast from the first story arc to where we are now. Yeah, I've definitely been keeping up with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, this is literally somebody let Tom King like off the leash, and he's going full on everything in one. I love it. I mean, you look at the Green Lantern and Legionnaire rings on that cover.
I have a crazy conspiracy theory about this run. I think Tom King is blinking to us SOS and telling us things that he may have learned in his previous career through this Wonder Woman book.
That's a deep cut. Hey, or he could just be, using his chance to draw. Look at that amazing Tom King.
There, he could also be expanding into the art field as well. A lot of people like to do that, to either write and draw or draw and write. And I mean, look at that cover.
I mean, look, I own Mark Waid artwork. I own Jeff Johns artwork. I own Tom King artwork. But man, that Tom King artwork, grade A, Louvre worthy. All right, let's get to our top 10 because so many amazing books this week, and you're going to want to make sure you look through both of these websites, prhcomics.com and lunardistribution.com, for everything because we didn't have enough time. It was such a big week. All right, top 10. Let's do it. Start off with our honorable mention. It does not get better than the affordability of Rocketeer Thrills, Spills, and Chills. $14, 350 plus pages.
It doesn't even make it onto the actual list.
Well, I mean, like for the Hot 10, this is a perpetual, item. I always put those as the honorable mention. The Hot 10 are you have to order this now. You'll be able to order this 3 months.
Oh, okay. I'm with it. Yeah.
That's why it has to be, mentioned. But for the things you got to FOC this Monday. First off, spot number 10, Lost Fantasy. Number 9, that beautiful Cat Blanchett cover featuring Bombshell, Timmy and Eamon's awesome character who will be in the backup. This is also a direct lead into Fireborn, so arguably a first appearance of Fireborn, even though it releases on the same day. Awesome.
I was just out with Timmy last night. We went to the Ice Bar in Orlando, which is literally the Penguins bar from Batman. It is a bar. Everything is made of ice. Had a great time. I'm very excited for him and for this book. It's always great to see one of our retail compatriots doing well in the industry.
I love it. Timmy's a great dude. Then number 9, Brett Bean, another great dude. We love doing that awesome Barbaric cover. I think that this is something a lot of people aren't going to pay attention to, but as dork sales go crazy, this is going to be like Scotty Young when he really blew up. People are going to want to go track down old Brett Bean stuff. Don't miss out. You can still guarantee this at cover price, open order, be covered by Brett Bean on Barbaric with, remember, a TV series on the way starring Patrick Stewart for Barbaric. Didn't know that about Patrick Stewart. He's going to be the voice of the Axe in Barbaric.
That sounds incredible. I'm here for it. I did not know that.
All right. A little bit of window. Come on. Rear window. I'm trying to think of that wonderful Hitchcock film this movie poster is homaging.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, I think it's Rear Window. But Narco number 2, this blew up as Daniel Hilliard and Doug Wagner have been deserving for well over a decade. They are 2 brilliant creators who do amazing dark comedies. And Narco, issue number 2, is going to continue that. Do not miss out. What was it, Rear Window?
No. It was not Rear Window. I'm trying to find it now.
But yeah, great homage. Another great homage. Dead Teenagers number 2. Number 2 is rare to ever make it to the top 10, but these have both been sellout, amazing books. And this is a great homage by Caitlin Yarsky of one of my favorite classic films, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
What a great! I've probably watched that movie 100 times. I love that movie growing up.
Made me want to have a truck, for food delivery.
Is that not also the Clueless font?
It is. Ooh. Yeah, a little deep. I like that. But yeah, great. Another nod to a classic cover, Amazing Spider-Man's infamous J. Scott Campbell cover of Mary Jane sitting there drinking the coffee. Seems a little bit later, Peter arrives, but Mary's still rocking that, odd sitting position that got this cover so much attention. I love Liber Mayhem. Plus, it's the finale to Death Spiral. So
I was about to say, is this the Liber Mayhem cover? And then you have it on the screen. Yes, it is the Liber Mayhem.
Yeah, Lee Moreno is part of his Amazing Visions collection of doing key moments in Spider-Man history. Obviously, this one, an iconic J. Scott Campbell cover from the Brand New Day era.
So I did want to say this, and we kind of skipped over, and I'm gonna be very fast about it. This technically is supposed to be Spider Carnage's first appearance, like technically. I think it's gonna be a Hulk 180, 181 situation. But this is all leading into an event that's going on this summer called Queen in Black. So if you're not reading Death Spiral, if you're gonna get ready for this Spider-Man summer event, this is where it starts, right here in ASM 27.
Ooh, good detail. I'm glad I wasn't the one that said that. I was worried I'd get in trouble. All right. This is why we have Billy on. Billy will fall on that sword to make sure you guys get that insider info. All right. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Kyoshi Warriors. I don't need to explain this. This is a must-have, Avatar fans. Number 5.
I got a text yelling at me. I said Legend of Korra earlier. I apologize. I know it is Legend of Korra. I misspoke. I was out very late last night at the ice bar. It is Legend of Korra.
There it is. All right. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Look, if you've been to Galaxy's Edge, you stood in front of the Millennium Falcon right there. That is, I literally was doing this a week ago. Last Thursday, I was standing in that exact position. Phil Noto, brilliant artist and iconic Star Wars artist at this moment, having done prose, video games, posters, all that, giving us a moment we can all go to Disneyland or Disney World and live.
And that is Luke Skywalker for me. It's either that or the X-Wing suit for sure.
Yeah. That's that Return of the Jedi I love. I love it. All right. Sveta Shubina, one of the hottest artists right now. Every time she does a cover, it skyrockets in value. Now we're getting her on Witchblade 20. This is going to bring people who've never even read Witchblade into the series, because if you like Sveta's art, you'll love Witchblade as a comic, and perfect combination.
It's covers like this. This is why I picked up Witchblade back, in the 90s to begin with,
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Then we get to the top 2. Corpse Knight. I had to go with the Jay Lee cover since we actually get to see our protagonist, the young daughter Yor, on the cover right there. We don't get to see her on the A cover for some odd reason. But
I'm an A cover guy, but I'm glad this is on the list.
Yeah. I really feel this is your spec book. This, like stores should be ordering up for customers. Customers, if you want this at cover price, you should be pre-ordering it right now. This is the book that will be the next $15 on day of release. And Look, we're here to prevent that for you guys. We're here to either make you money if you're a spec, or better yet, to get you the copy at an affordable price so you can read and enjoy it, and you can talk with everyone about the book everyone else is fighting to get on the aftermarket. Talk to your local comic shop. Get these orders in. This is going to be that book in April. Along with Fireborn. And look, Fireborn is going to be great no matter what cover you get. There's a great Invincible homage too. I love that with Lost Fantasy, we get video game homages. Fireborn, understanding the superhero tone, is going to do superhero homages. So Invincible and, of course, Absolute Batman. And that is absolutely one of the highest selling books in recent years. Trying to find a first printing Absolute Batman #1 is going to cost you $250,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So throw in the fact that you have Franklin Jonas of Jonas Brothers fame, TV and music, along with Kurt Pierce, a new character, a new series. This is going to be hot across the board, and this homage will guarantee that nail.
I really feel like just this universe they're kind of teeing up. It's like Something Is Killing the Children meets Radiant Black. If you put those two together, that's really where that's with the flavor of this book.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. So huge amount of top 10. Make sure you reach out to your local comic shop, get your orders in early. We are running really behind, so really quick, Kyle, what do we got later?
All the normal stuff.
Oh, okay.
Kyle's got to leave really soon. So thank you guys, as always, for watching. I got to wrap things up quick. Billy, anything you want to say before we do it?
No, I loved your top 10. It was great. It was perfect. No notes.
Love you, Billy. Hopefully we'll have you back this week and every week, more weeks. I got to rush to get off. So I want to remind you all, reach out to your local comic shop, get your orders in sooner the better. Check out everything on the 2 websites. There are so much to FOC this week, and it's going to be so worth it. April will be a great month of comics. Don't miss out.